They mocked her every single day. Standing at the corner of a busy street, with her basket of roses and lilies, she heard whispers, cruel laughter, and insults. Who would ever marry a flower seller? They would say. Some even pushed past her as if she didn't exist. But what they didn't know was that behind those tired eyes, behind those fragile flowers she sold to survive, was a secret stronger than their hate. Life had written pain in every chapter of her childhood, but destiny had prepared a twist no one could have imagined. Because one day, the same people who mocked her would dress in their finest clothes, attend a grand wedding, and watch in disbelief as the flower girl they ridiculed walked into the ceremony, not with a basket of roses, but as the bride herself. Meena was only 12 when she lost her parents. Her father, once a gardener, had spent his life among flowers. He used to tell her, "Beta, flowers may look fragile, but they carry strength. Even in storms, some flowers still bloom." Those words became her only inheritance. After their passing, Meena was taken in by an aunt who treated her like an extra mouth to feed. She was given old clothes, leftover food, and endless chores. To survive, Meena started selling flowers outside the temple and on the streets. Morning to night, barefoot, with a basket on her head, she cried silently as people mocked her. Children pointed fingers, wealthy women looked away, and men scoffed. A girl who smells like dirt and flowers will never see a good life. But what they didn't know was that Meena had something no one could take away: dignity, kindness, and hope. She never begged, never stole. She stood every morning at the same spot, arranging flowers carefully, smiling at strangers. One day, as she stood outside a music academy, a kind young woman named Anjali noticed her. Anjali was struck by Meena's calmness and asked, "Why do you always smile, even when they mock you?" Meena simply replied, "Because a flower never stops blooming just because someone doesn't value it." Anjali, touched, began buying flowers from her daily. Slowly, she learned Meena's story. Seeing her talent for arranging bouquets beautifully, Anjali encouraged her to dream bigger. But dreams were dangerous luxuries for Meena. She shook her head. "Dreams don't belong to girls like me." Fate, however, had other plans. One rainy evening, as she sheltered under the academy's roof, Meena met Arav, a polite young man, dressed simply yet carrying an air of quiet confidence. He was a teacher at the academy, passionate about classical music. Unlike others, he didn't ignore her presence. Instead, he asked, "Why do you always sit here in the rain?" Blushing, Meena said softly, "Flowers don't stop for rain. So how can I?" That one line etched itself into Raf's heart. Days turned into weeks. Arav often found himself drawn to her resilience, her humility, her strength. While others mocked her broken slippers and torn shawl, he saw the grace in her patience. While others saw just a poor flower girl, he saw a woman with dignity unshaken by cruelty. But society never forgets its harshness. Rumors spread. People mocked her louder. A flower seller dreaming of a teacher. Impossible. Even Anjali warned her, "They will hurt you more if you walk this path." Yet Arav stood firm. "What I see in her is rare, and I won't let cruel voices decide for me." Months later, a grand wedding was announced in town. The richest family had booked the largest hall, decorated with thousands of flowers. Everyone assumed it would be a glamorous bride from a wealthy family. Invitations spread like wildfire, and when the day arrived, crowds gathered, dressed in silk and jewels, whispering excitedly. Among the guests were those same people who once mocked Meena daily. They stood laughing at the poor vendors outside the hall, not knowing fate had prepared their lesson. The music began. The bride was about to enter. Everyone turned, and their laughter froze. There she was, Meena. No basket in hand, no torn clothes, but a radiant bride, dressed in an elegant red sari, adorned with delicate jewelry. Her eyes, filled with grace and tears, shone brighter than the lights above. Walking proudly, she held Raf's hand. Gasps echoed through the hall. "How is this possible?" whispered a woman who once mocked her shoes. "The flower seller?" said another, stunned, but Meena didn't glance at them. She didn't need to. Every step she took onto that decorated stage was proof that dignity and kindness win where cruelty fails. As she stood beside Arav, the priest recited blessings. Meena closed her eyes, remembering her father's words. Even in storms, some flowers still bloom. She realized she had bloomed, not just for herself, but as a reminder to everyone that no soul is defined by poverty or mockery. The same people who ridiculed her were now silent, watching her ascend to a life they never imagined for her. And deep down, perhaps they learned that true worth isn't measured by wealth, but by resilience, grace, and heart. Emotional CTA 150 words. And so, the flower girl they mocked became the bride they could never forget. Her journey reminds us of something powerful. Never let the cruelty of others decide who you are. Dreams may take time, but with patience and dignity, they bloom when the world least expects it. If this story touched your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs a reminder that their struggles today can become their triumph tomorrow. And if you believe kindness and resilience always win in the end, hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, and join us as we bring you more stories that prove life is full of unexpected miracles. Because sometimes, the flower seller becomes the bride, and the world has no choice but to watch in silence.